Hi, Maria. How are you? What's happening today?
I'm all right, thanks, Kim. Yeah, it's been a very busy day today. Lots of meetings and sort of seen a lot of people, answered a lot of emails. So it's been a good day, a good day. Thank
You've
you for
done
asking.
you've done your whole day now, and now you get to be with me.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I've been really looking forward to talking to you because you do so many things.
I do.
And maybe we could start out with you can tell us about your journey of becoming an energy healer and holistic practitioner.
Yeah, definitely. So as a young child, I could see auras, so energy around people, different colors. So to me, it was quite normal. I've always been quite clairsentient, which means that I can pick up on how people are feeling. If people are in pain, I tend to feel that as well in my body. So for me, that was the start of it all. And I thought, yes, all quite normal. Um, I'd always been very spiritual, very interested in the afterlife. Again, yeah, just quite a normal thing. Nothing, extraordinary, I didn't think. But again, not something really that I spoke to my family about. I am the only one in my family that is interested in all of this. Um,
How old were you when you started seeing auras and when you got into all of
yeah, so the youngest age, probably about 2 or 3 that I can remember actually seeing it around people. And I nowadays, or even as I was growing up, I deliberately choose not to see, but because I think
really?
it's, yeah, because it's quite intrusive, I think. So, but however, if I'm with somebody and on an unconscious level, we've agreed without talking as such, they show me a color or something around them, then we've had there's a permission because they're showing me, I'm not looking, if that makes sense. So yes, so
Wow.
that happens nowadays. So
Do they
I,
have to be in person or can you do it on Zoom?
I probably could do it on Zoom, but as I said, it's a conscious, usually it's just somebody that I don't really know, or it could be somebody that I do know, but they'll show it to me. So as I said, we've given ourselves sole permission. They've said, I'm agreeing for you to see what I'm showing you, Maria.
Interesting.
So say for instance, I don't know, maybe I'm doing some healing on somebody or something, and then the color just shows. And usually it's around the head, shoulders, which again is the sort of strongest area. If you wanted to look at seeing auras, that's where you would start, if you'd like. That's how you would practice to see them. So I tend to see it around there. And say somebody shows me a turquoise color. Now, turquoise is all about balance. So, them needing balance in their life, maybe balance, to say, with the healing, it's finding that balance. It's what's needed, that peace and balance within themselves. So, yeah,
Interesting.
the different colors will mean different things. And, so that's that. I mean, that's lovely. So, I do see them, but in a different way now.
Wow. Well, I didn't mean to interrupt your story. I just
No,
wanted to
that's
figure
it,
out what
really.
that was. So,
Yeah. So yeah, and then I was really close to my granddad, and then unfortunately, as they do, he passed away. So when I was in my very early 20s, I decided I'd go along to a spiritual church to find out a bit more, maybe make a connection, maybe get a message from a platform medium, you know. And I just found it a really lovely place to be. Um, and then I was really lucky. One of my spiritual mentors was there. And one day he came up to me and said, would I be interested in doing what they call a closed circle? So in the spiritual churches, they have what they call open circles where you can sort of develop your mediumship. But closed circles are usually in somebody's home and it's just a couple of you. And I thought, oh God, yeah, because I was sending the message. I call them upstairs. I was sending the message to upstairs and I was saying, I really want to find out more. How do they do that? I want to, I want to learn a bit more about this. So that's really where it all started.
So can I
Mr.
ask you a question?
Mm.
What is a spiritual church compared to a
Oh,
regular church? Is
oh,
it really a church, or is that just what they call it?
it is a church, but
Okay.
again, a bit like you've got different religions.
Right.
It's a spiritualist church, and it's a little different from mainstream churches.
Okay.
You still sing songs, but they're maybe not the songs that are sung in the Christian or Catholic or Orthodox churches. Um, and they do a bit of that. And then the bit that's very different is rather than having a vicar or somebody in the pulpit, they have like a stage area, and sometimes they do have like pulpits, and they have what they call a medium. So a person who can communicate between the two worlds, between here and the other side. And they will say, I'm coming to that man in the audience there, or that lady. I've got a child with me, or grandmother, and can you accept this? And,
Wow.
if the evidence is great, and there are some mediums that are fantastic that can even give names, dates of birth, names of a road, this is what I wanted. I wanted to see, because experience to me is the evidence. You've got to, yeah. And I thought, yeah, let's just see. And there are obviously ones that are better than others.
Are there more
So
than Are there is there more than one medium in a church, in a spiritual? Wait, is that what you call it? A spiritual church?
yeah, yeah. Well, they're invited, so they're a guest. So they'll have a list for the entire year of who's going. So if there's a really good medium, you think, oh yeah, I'm going to be there on that date to go and see them. So it is, it's quite good, and it's demonstration of clairvoyance. So they'll do the messages, but they also sometimes did transfiguration, where the face would change, the voice would change. They call that a larynx box. It's sort of like a different voice box is put on there, and sometimes they'll speak in the same voice as the person that they knew, and that is incredible.
Wow.
Sometimes they'd have psychic artists there, and that's again incredible, where they'll draw, and then they'll give a picture. Now it could be a guide, it could be an animal spirit, but it also could be a relative. So you imagine you've not met this person, how could they possibly be able to draw? The person is there in front of them, spirit's there in front, and they're able to draw it. It's incredible.
And you're watching this happen on a
Yeah,
stage.
you'll see them on stage, and then they will give, it's usually done on a piece of canvas. They use different types of paint, or I've had oils done as well, and they will then give it to the person. Imagine that,
Wow.
seeing your relative or something. Brilliant evidence of life goes on, you know.
So that,
So
what are they called?
psychic
A
artist.
psychic artist. Boy,
Mm.
I'd like to meet one of those. They would be fun to interview too.
Yeah,
That's amazing that somebody could do that.
it is amazing, and yeah, it's incredible. And the thing is, and also, so they'll give you a message as well from that person. So you not only get a message from the psychic artist, about the person and who they are to you, but you'll also get to take home with you a painting.
Oh my gosh.
I know,
Really
it's
fun.
great. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, okay, go back to your story. I keep interrupting because it's so interesting.
No, no, please do. Yeah, and then so I went to spiritual development, and I was taught different types of mediumship, how to communicate with your guides, all different things, how to protect yourself, just lots of different aspects of spirituality. Then I did some healing, trained as a healer. So it's about 30 years ago now. So
Oh, long
yeah,
time.
yeah, I did it all when I was sort of about 20. So quite a long time ago now. But I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I thought it was just amazing to be able to help people. But I didn't go into what I'm doing now then. I took a little bit of a meander, a slightly different pathway.
Oh,
Uh,
man.
yeah, I was studying in college and I had a bit of free time. And we used to have, I don't know if there's so many of them around, but we have what we call a volunteer bureau. And it's a place where you go if you've got a bit of spare time, and you want to do something, but you're not going to get paid for it. So I thought, I've got a bit of free time. Let's see. Now, this lady must have seen something in me that I certainly didn't see. She said, I've got the perfect job for you, Maria. And I was like, oh, okay. Now, I'd say when, that started, I was about 16, 17. And I was like, oh, okay. Thinking it's just going to be maybe working in a bit of a charity shop or just, She said, we've got a little boy. He's got Down syndrome, special needs. And at the moment, he's been working with a psychology student. He's in a mainstream nursery. His family want him to go to mainstream school. And I thought, oh, okay. A bomb hits. I was like, really? I was like, oh, okay. And we want you to get him ready, toileting, feeding, social skills. I thought, okay. I met his mum. I don't think she was too impressed with me because she probably thought, like I did, how on earth are you going to get through this? And I thought the same thing. He's a delightful young man. He's delightful. And, he worked hard. I worked hard. I only had about 6 months. And yeah. And then I then got into social care and housing projects from there. And he, many years later, I went into a bank and there's people were in front of me. And this lady turned around and I didn't recognize her at first because her face had changed. She was smiling at me. She wasn't frowning at me. And it was the mother of this little boy. And there he was. And, it was one of those moments where he was in his school uniform and he was in mainstream school and he was doing really well. So that probably sums up my working career, where I've been very much thrown in the deep end and managing quite difficult projects, and going in and making them better, educating the staff. And it went on to me managing a lot of projects over the years. And, they needed a lot of help. And like all projects, whether it's social care, housing, or whatever, it's usually the staff that have got the issues rather than the residents. I mean,
And so did you help him and these other people spiritually? Or were you a project manager or?
initially when I helped him, I was doing some voluntary work, but I've always worked intuitively. So even when I've had to be what they call here politically correct, do
Yes.
the right thing, when I've worked for, the health or the government or housing, I've always hit that line. But I've always intuitively listened to my intuition and to work to get me where I needed to get to and where the project needed to get to or where the clients needed to be. Yeah. So that just came naturally. It wasn't something that I've ever really had to work on. It's always intuitiveness, that sixth sense has always been there. Yeah. Very handy tool to have when you're working in the environments that I've worked in, which was eating disorders, self-harmers, mental health, drugs, alcohol, homelessness, learning difficulties from old right through to the very young. So a real mix of people, which it was a privilege to have, and it, it shapes you, I think, as a person when you come across so many different life stories and experiences and see the amazing spirit and courage that people have when they get through the other side.
Yeah. And so would your job be then to just talk to all these people? Or were you doing something physical?
Um, it, all of it really, in some ways. Physical in putting plans together, looking at what their support plans are,
Okay.
what their needs were, what
I
their
see.
strengths were, and building up their self-esteem in some cases, whatever that person needed. So you'd have do an assessment, and then from that assessment you would gauge, and again I would intuitively feel what the
Yeah.
person would need as well as hear.
Wow,
um,
that's very helpful.
very helpful, very helpful. And yeah, amazing. So I did that for a long time, just before we went into lockdown, which here was 2020.
Yes.
So Christmas, I had this brilliant idea, and I said to my other half, you know what, I'm just going to set up my own business now. You know,
And
I
did
want
he
to.
say doing what?
Yeah, and initially, because I'm trained as an interior designer and stylist, and
Oh, okay. Oh, where did that come in?
well, that came in later.
Okay.
Again, I've always been quite creative, and
Yeah.
I trained as a psychodynamic therapist as well when I was in my late 20s. So it all helps.
Yeah, it all ties together, doesn't it?
And I said, so initially that was the route I was going to take, but I had this free time, and I thought, oh, and there were some more spiritual sort of groups and that around, and I thought, oh, I've got time. I didn't have time because I was working a lot before. I thought I'm going to make some time, do some courses, just get back into the swing of it. And gradually the more spiritual side just took over, really. So I do it, I still will do the interior side, but intuitively as well. For people's spaces, or retreats, or or their workspace, or just something that will make it unique to their energy. So I work with the energy and the space. So I do a bit of both there, really. So yeah, and that's how the business sort of flourished and emerged, really.
Yeah, and I read that you do something called color healing and
Yes,
house healing.
yes.
What is that?
Which one do you want to know about
I'll
first, Kim?
start with color healing.
Color healing. So color healing goes right back to the Egyptian times, where they used to actually have colored rooms for healing, colored glass, and the colors were very much used to heal certain parts of the body. Now, on the body, you've probably heard it or seen it. You've probably seen the Buddhas where they've got the different chakra points, they call
Yes.
them, down. So like the battery to your body. So when I do color healing, I use silk scarves. And the silk scarf, so say it was the root chakra and it was the red scarf will be placed over the person. So put white first, and then the colors go all the way. The person's on a reclining chair. Again, mobility. Not everybody can get on a couch. So it starts off on the chair, and then it goes back to a bed with the feet in the perfect heart resting position. And then from that, with the color healing, is very much about making sure your chakras are going the right way, because they should be going clockwise. But with life and how it is, sometimes they are going anti-clockwise. Sometimes they've got blocks there from the past, or even what's going through at the moment. So if you like, it's an intense healing to clear what's not needed anymore, clear any blocks, make sure the chakras are going the right way, and to energize and give that person the best feeling that they can, so that they're feeling energized, able to make decisions and to get on with their lives, rather than being drained and not having the energy to make different choices or to go in a different direction to what they really want to do.
And when you mentioned the colors, do you pick a color?
No, I only work with the 7 chakras, although we do have a lot more.
And
chakras.
This is in person, right?
Yeah.
Not online. This is in person.
That one I don't do
Okay.
I haven't done it online.
Okay.
I could do it, but I wouldn't obviously be able to put the colors on the person, but I would be able to visualize the colors going through my hands as I went up through the chakras. So I could do that.
So the person comes to you, and do you have them lie down on a bed? And then what's the process?
Well, they would come and, and I'd ask them to choose what therapy they would like. And again, if they're not sure, sometimes they can be torn. I just get them to close their eyes, and then I just go through the different ones that they're interested in and see which one resonates with them.
Okay.
And so it's initially you sit in a chair, it looks like a chair, but it goes back, as I said, into a bed. And that's deliberate, because I've worked with so many people with that are disabled or have different types of mobilities that aren't always able to clamber up on a high couch.
Oh, okay.
So they sit, and then the chair does all the work, very gently brings them back. And as I said, their feet are just above the heart resting position.
Okay.
So in the perfect sleep state, if you like, or resting state is where they'll be.
Okay.
And then so we put the white over first of all, because they could be wearing lots of colours.
I see.
It's good to just keep it concentrated. And then so just white, and then the colours, and I start from the bottom, just place them across. Person will have their eyes closed, and I use my hand, and best way to put it, so my left hand, say, would be on the left shoulder. So I'm just putting my hand there. And if they felt any energy or heat or something coming from that shoulder, but everyone's energy is unique. So everybody will feel something different, because what we carry and how our energy works, it's almost like a fingerprint. It's unique to you. So we'll experience something different. Some people will feel it coming out of their hands and their feet, because you've got lots of chakra points on your hands and your feet.
Okay.
And then, as I said, I start from the bottom, and I'll feel it in my hands and I'll feel it in my body where the blocks are. So if somebody has got a problem with their throat chakra, communication is difficult, or maybe they've had a physical ailment or breathing problem, I'll pick up on that and I'll talk it through with the person. And again, it's good proof for the person, because you don't know anything about them.
Right.
And it's like, okay, yeah. And I could feel that there was a pain down the side. Yeah. It gives them the confidence of, well, oh yeah, she can feel it. So again, it's quite an advantage to be able to feel it as I'm working.
And when you feel it, do your hands get hot?
Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes they get very hot, and you think, oh, that the other person might not feel this what you're feeling, you see.
Oh, yeah.
You know it's going in. And if I was doing it with normal healing, and a person again I would sit them in a chair as well, feet on the ground, so they're grounded. But again, when the hand is, say, placed on the back of a chair, no matter what the material is, the energy will go through. And people are always surprised. They can feel it. Energy can go through solid objects. So, it's, and I love doing it, especially for people that maybe have never had healing before, a bit skeptical. Great. Yeah. Just experiences the evidence, just, to them to try and see. And also I liken it to, I don't know if you've what they call it in America, but over here we've got, if you've got muscles or sprains or you've done an injury, there's a cream that they call deep heat, and you rub it in and it warms up the muscles, makes, it's a similar thing to that. I say that you may feel some heat and it will feel like that to you when it comes through.
Well, so interesting. Do people have something going on with them and they tell you about it, or do they just go in not knowing anything at the beginning and you tell them?
I ask them not to tell me
Okay.
because, I need them to know if I'm any good, you see. And I said, just
That
don't
makes
tell.
sense.
And I said, and hopefully I'll pick it up, and you'll know that I'm okay. You know. So yeah. And also sometimes if people are out of balance as well, if their body is just out of balance, maybe if they hold themselves not quite, you can see them do that. They'll actually shift or shunt, or they'll feel, if they've got tightened muscles, maybe they hold tension, they'll feel it, it loosen
Yeah.
like a spasm. So it's every single one is unique, and they're never the same
So
because
interesting.
the energy is so different to each person.
Yeah. So what is house healing?
Well, house healing is really interesting. So, when you've walked into a house or a building, or even in your own house, there might be certain rooms in the house that you're not comfortable in, or it doesn't feel right. You can walk into a house, feels very warm, welcoming, but you can go into other buildings where you just can't wait to get out of there. Maybe the room won't heat up. You've got radiators in there, but it's cold. But there's a feeling of unease, and it could be in the whole house, but it could also be in particular rooms as well. Now, houses are really interesting because, again, the bricks and mortar hold the energy. Now, depending on how old the house is, it holds the history, events, things that have happened to people in that house. So it's like a sponge. And when you walk into it, you can feel it. Happy house, not such a happy house. Yeah. So when you're in that space, it's draining. You feel off. Sometimes you might not feel very well. You can't always focus because the energy isn't invigorating. It could also be that there might be a lost spirit in the house, which needs to find its way home. And it's making a lot of noise, moving things to let you know, oh, by the way, I'm here. Please let somebody know because I don't want to be stuck, So that's also can happen. So with that one, there's two approaches that I can do. I quite like doing the distance one. And with that, I do it from photographs. So I ask the person, if you like, to give me permission to have a picture of the front door and a picture of the room or the rooms that they want me to go to. And I will go, if you like, take myself into the space. Sometimes I can almost feel what's underneath my feet, carpet or wood, or when I'll tell the people what I feel, when I give the feedback. And they call it vortex healing. So it's like a white energy, but it's, how can I put it? So like a vacuum cleaner or a Hoover. Yeah. But the most intense one that you can do. So like one that's got the carpet cleaner and will really bring out everything. So you've got healing and then you've got vortex healing. So it's like the super duper healing, and it's white. And if you like, I use my hands, my tool, and I will feel what it is, where it is in the room, what needs clearing. And again, just like healing a person, I'm healing the space. I'm taking away the negativity that's no longer needed there anymore, that's been held in the walls. And as I said, also taking people back home that need to go back home.
So
So
what if you buy a house that nobody lived in previously?
mm,
Does it
well,
still
yes, it
work?
can be, because it's also to do with the land that it's on. You know,
Oh,
it's the foundations are built on the land. So sometimes that can be to do also if it's got water running through it, which is emotions as well. But also depending on what's happened on the land, or what was built there before, or what was there before, or what happened there before.
what if
Doesn't
an animal lived on the land before?
um
Can you pick up an animal spirit inside?
um I haven't done, because obviously the animal spirit possibly would have moved on.
Yeah,
But there's always a chance that I could come across that.
yeah.
But you're always open to whatever, really. But the it's the energy that the house is on.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the older the house, the more years of people living there or not living there, or energy will have accumulated than a newer one. But it's not to say that with new houses it doesn't happen either, because lost spirits choose where they wish to be. It's not a case that they've always passed away and they stay in the same place. So they could still move into a new place. You know, it doesn't have
And
to.
then you said they can't get out. So if you run across one of these spirits and they need to get out, or they're trapped, they can't get out, how do you get them out?
Well, there's a way to get them home, and you would call down the angels, and you know, again, the person will give their permission, that their free spirit, that that's they wanted to go. The reason that they wouldn't have gone is either they were maybe in an accident and they weren't meant to pass over, or they were greeted and they said no. And this is the thing with when I worked in the hospitals, and people were what I call between two worlds. You would see like a white veil almost across the eyes, not like a cataracts, but it would be a similar thing. There'd be like a white veil across the eyes. And every single person that was ready to go, regardless of their religion or culture or background, would see somebody that they knew, a family member or somebody. And I always remember thinking, when I was, again, quite young and I was doing that it was just lovely to know that somebody was there waiting for them to take them home.
Wow.
So it's a similar thing, but for whatever reason, you know, there's going to be always going to be somebody that slips through the net, or it could be their character, where, you know, maybe in this lifetime they were quite maybe aggressive or stubborn, and or they don't always feel that they've passed on.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's somebody that's living still, which maybe they want to protect, or there's some unfinished business, or maybe there was some injustice done to them. There are a lot of reasons why they may have chosen to stay.
And sometimes it's okay for them to stay.
For so long, only for so long, because their spiritual body will also start to, after hundreds and hundreds of years, that will also start to wear away. And you ideally want to get them before then. Yeah.
So does somebody call you and say, I live in this old house and something's not right in one of
Yeah.
the rooms, and then you come and then you
Yeah.
determine which room and
Or I do it via Zoom, which I can do, you know, or as say by the photographs. They send me the photographs, and we agree a time that I'm going to go in, and ideally at a time when it's nobody there or it's quiet, you know, preferably not, you know, lunchtime, or you know, when the whole family are there, you know, because you'll feel their energy. So you really want it when ideally everybody's at work or out, or, you know.
then you use your hands, even if you're not in the room.
Yes. So the images, if you like, will be in front of me on the computer, and I will take myself in. And if you like, take myself into the house and go from there.
I've heard of sage. Do you
Yes.
do you ever use that? Or I've seen
It's
people do that. A friend of mine did it and she was doing this all around the whole house. I go, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah, sage is, quite good. You can use joss sticks, you can use candles as well.
Oh,
It's all about cleansing the
yeah.
space. Um, but if you like, you're cleansing the space, but you're not going in the fabric of the building. You're going in the corners. You're cleansing, lifting the space. So I've got an incense burner going now. Always good just to cleanse the space when you're doing different things. But it's not vortex healing. It's not cleansing it deep. It will only do so much. The problem won't go away.
Okay. And the spirit is still there. You're not saging away the spirit that might be stuck.
Well, I'm sure the spirit will be looking and thinking, what on earth? No.
The spirit's
Yeah.
thinking that stuff smells terrible.
Yeah. Well, it's not too bad, but it is quite strong. But and some people cleansing the space will also put certain crystals in the corner of the room as well, or salt
Yes.
is another one. So there are lots of different things that you can use. Yeah.
Interesting. So, how do your teachings and practices help contribute to the overall well-being of people?
I think when when you work with somebody, if you say it for its healing, for example, and they come in, you can see in their face that maybe they just don't have very much light or much energy. And they tell you afterwards that they felt it, they experienced it, and how they're feeling. And if they come back, say if I'm at one of the mind, body, and spirit fairs, and they come back and you see them so much more vitalized and, looking a lot more energized, and that it is just lovely. It's quite humbling, to be honest, to, just to help where you can. You can't sort everything out, but even if it's just a little bit, and it gives somebody comfort, and and just to know as well that you've connected with that person, because you don't know a person's history. they
Right.
might they might be quite lonely, and maybe they haven't connected or talked to anybody, and that as well is yeah, it's quite something when they open up their heart and soul to you. Mm.
And do you normally see people just once, or do you have sessions that you do?
I do sometimes see people regularly, but I'd only ever see them once a month, because you don't really need healing any more than that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. And a lot, yeah, and there are some people that I've done healing for which, it's helped, and that's it. They're all good to go. But I tend to work a lot with the physical, mental, and emotional. So, and a lot of mental health as well. So, yeah. So again, it's just giving them that sense of calm and peace as well.
And do you help them with meditation? Do you teach them meditation?
If they'd like me to, yeah, I do teach meditation. I teach intuitive guided meditations. Um, and with that, it's unique to that person's energy. So say if I had a group of people, they were in the room with me, Kim. Um, Again, when I do intuitive guided meditations, I have absolutely no idea. And I say to the students or people I'm working with, don't worry, I have no idea where I'm going either. And it's not until I'm actually shown it, and as I'm talking, I'm literally, as I said, I'm thrown in at the deep end, Kim. I'm literally, you know, waiting, and I talk through what I've seen. Now, even if you've got a group of people, every single thing that a person sees will be unique to their energy, and what they need at the moment.
Okay.
So somebody will see again what they need, and maybe the colors or a feeling or the image or what they feel in the meditation. And quite often in the meditation, a message is given or a gift is given,
To
which
each
again,
person?
yeah, to the person, which is something for them at this time. And
Maybe
it's
something that they've been trying to find the answer to?
could be, or it could be a memory, and the memory could be holding them back. It could be a photograph of a family member, somebody that maybe they miss and life stopped a little, you know. It could be a shield because they need to protect themselves. Maybe the energy around them is making them feel quite depressed. It could be anything. Could be a crystal, could be a jewel, it could be anything at all. Could be a book, and inside the book, you know, something could be written to them, you know, but it will mean something to them. So I have no idea, but I love doing them. And then if they do get given a gift, they take it back and they place it back into the heart chakra. Now, the heart chakra's energy is thousands of times stronger than the brain. Incredible what it holds. But we put the object back in because that person's taking it with them on their journey. And then, you know, when we all come back round and we talk about it, it is quite amazing, you know. And that's lovely. It gives a person a sense of direction and maybe purpose. It's a sort of a healing meditation and guidance, if you like, all in one.
Yeah. How long are your healing guidance meditations?
About an hour. About an hour by the time you've done it, although it'll feel like 10 minutes. You know,
I
by the
love
time
it.
you've gone into the meditation, come round and you talk about it afterwards. Yeah.
And you do groups.
I do groups. Well,
That would be a fun thing to do, I think. I'd like
yeah,
to go to one of your groups.
I do groups, and I'm doing one that I've started at the moment. And the next one I think is about 2nd of July. And that's about that's the essence of trees. Now with this one,
Oh,
it's a
talk
bit,
about that.
yeah, this one's a bit different because what I'm doing is the Celtic trees have got, well, the Celtics and the trees are very there's a lot of symbolism in there and a lot of meaning. Sort of at the moment it will be the oak tree that we've got coming up.
Okay.
And with that one, I'm going to try and do this one outside. So I'm connecting with nature. But what I want to do is for people to connect more with nature. But so they'll be going on a journey, but it'd be the essence of the trees. It's that connection of nature. We're so wired up nowadays with technology. We forget
Yes.
to go outside and actually just walking or just touching the tree or being around a forest just straight away lowers the blood pressure, gives you that feel good factor.
I just learned about that a couple weeks ago. I was interviewing somebody who is an HSP
Okay.
coach, and she was
Yeah.
talking about grounding and
Yes.
about trees. So I started going out and holding on to trees and touching them. And I made a video. It's kind of funny. I made a quick video about holding onto a tree, and my dog was sniffing around. But I just learned about that. And that
Got to
trees
be
have
with
energy. So
yourself.
now when I go on walks, I'm always looking at the trees, and there's so much energy with the trees. So
And it's all
when you have a group and you're outside with the tree, is everybody touching the tree, or is everybody just sitting around near the tree?
what I'm doing is I'm doing it on Zoom. So I will
Oh,
literally have it back to a tree. They
okay.
can do, if they can get outside or they're in the garden, or they could have the leaf in their hands if they can't
Oh,
get, or they can just be, and we connect with the essence. And this is a new one. This is new. So we're gonna see how this one goes. But I'm
I
looking,
love it.
and I also do one-to-ones as well.
Okay. Wow. You're
So
so interesting. You do so many different things.
I know it's the Gemini in me, I've just got I never get bored.
You like a variety, right?
I do, and I do love what I do. Yeah. I
Wow.
couldn't just do one thing, I don't think. No,
Yeah, I'm
I
like
don't.
that too. I like a lot of variety.
Yeah.
But that sounds, gosh, it's also interesting. I would love to take one of your classes or one of your meditations.
Well, I was, but obviously, time-wise, it's like 11 o'clock in the morning. So that would be
It would be
seven,
what,
seven at night.
3 a.m. here, maybe?
Would it?
Is that when you do it at 11 a.m.?
11 a.m.
And you're what, 8 hours ahead of me?
Oh, ahead. Oh, yeah. So I'm not. However, Kim, if there was some people that you knew or, over in America that we could fit a time around, yeah, I'd do one.
Oh, I know some people. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd do a group for you. Yeah, we could do that at a time that suits.
Are there any other types of healings that we didn't talk about that you would like to talk about? Because I know there's probably about 10 more that you do that since you like variety and all.
That's it. Well, I do well-being coaching as well. So I infuse, if you like, my psychodynamic therapy, which I trained for about 3 years doing that, along with, my intuitiveness. So it's a mixture of what a person's going through. Yeah. Giving them sort of some tasks or different things to try to help them move forwards. Maybe some intuitive guided meditations along the way, again, so that they could see without thinking too much. Because depending on where they are, they may not be, if they're feeling quite depressed,
Yeah.
they may not be in a good state to think outside the box, which is why people get stuck. So I do those as well. I do sort of different sessions for people.
And are those monthly too, if people signed up for sessions, or is that a week to week thing?
That's a one-to-one. And yeah, it's a week-to-week thing, with the person, and at a time that suits them and me, a mutually agreed time. And yeah, and that is all about them seeing the wood for the trees, as we say. So,
You have a lot to choose from.
well, yes, and then hopefully, with that, the right people will come if they feel drawn to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, where can people find you?
So do you want me to? Okay, so
I can put it in the show notes, but if people aren't reading, tell us a couple places people can find you.
So you can find me on my website, which is www.mariaallen, that's ALLEN dash maker, which is MAKA space.com. I'm also on Facebook, and I'm also on Instagram as well.
Okay, that's great. Well, is there anything that I didn't ask you today that you'd like to share?
I can't think of anything.
Maybe I asked way too many questions. I don't know.
No, I love it. I love people asking questions, and yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah, I just find this subject so interesting. This is fantastic. So, well, thank you for sharing your valuable knowledge and insights with us today.
You're welcome.
And
hopefully people have found it interesting. So.
Oh, they will. Yes, I'm sure they will.
But if there was anything, because obviously your audience is primarily in America, yeah.
Yes.
That, if people did want sort of different sessions or whatever, as I said, at the moment I'm on nearly 8 o'clock, and you're on what time?
Yes, almost noon.
Yeah. So,
we'll have you stay up all night, every night. Everybody's going to want to go to you.
Early morning, early morning your time to sort of, 12 o'clock is, a time that I could definitely see people and be a copus mentis as well.
Yeah. Well, I wish you continued success with all the
Thank you.
things that you're doing and all the ways you're helping people. This has been quite inspiring.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's not your mainstream, but you'll be surprised at how many of us are out there doing it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you. I hope that you have a good, well, I should say good night,
That's it.
a good
About
rest of your evening.
a couple of hours and I'll be hitting the sack. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll let you go rest now.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
Have a good evening. And I
yeah,
hope to be in touch soon.
yes, thank you, Kim. Enjoy the rest of the day. And thanks ever so much for having me on. It's been lovely.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.